Have you ever watched someone draw and thought, I understand what they're doing, but when I try it myself, my hand does something completely different? If that has happened to you, you're not alone. Hello there, and welcome back. Today, we're drawing this lily flower, and while we draw, we'll talk about how watching art tutorials can actually support your learning, but why it can never replace the moment your own hand touches the paper. By the end of this video, you'll know how to draw a lily from scratch and how to create light and volume with just one pen. As always, I'm going to begin with a very simple structure. I start with an oval placed diagonally, facing slightly to the left, but this flower could be facing any direction, really. Now, I'm dividing that oval into 6 sections with simple curved lines. These lines help me understand where each petal will go. A lily has 6 petal-like parts, and instead of trying to draw them perfectly from the beginning, I like to think of each one as growing from the center and opening outward. So now, one by one, I start shaping each petal around those guiding lines. Notice how the petals are not stiff. They are soft, curved, and they often bend or fold at the tips. Some petals open towards us, some move behind the others, and some curl gently outward. And this is one of the most beautiful things about drawing flowers. Symmetry helps us begin, but variation makes the drawing feel alive. So don't worry if every petal is not identical. Actually, it should not be identical. Once I place all the petals, I pause and check the balance of the flower. Here, I notice that the top petal feels a little smaller compared to the others. So I correct it before I move forward. And this is why sketching is so important, because the sketch is where the drawing becomes possible. And now, I'm going to add the center of the flower. And I'm sharing here with you the parts of the flower in case you're not familiar. For the pistil, I draw 2 slightly concave lines that meet at the top, and then I add the stigma at the tip. Around it, I lightly place the stamens. Each stamen is made of a thin filament and a small oval anther at the end. At this stage, I'm only marking their position. I'm not adding too much detail yet because this is still the sketch. I only want to understand where everything belongs. And then I sketch the peduncle just by placing 2 slightly curved and elongated lines. I'm also going to connect a little pedicel to a small bud to the upper right. I'll just leave the mark for the meantime and draw a decorative leaf to the left. You know how I love leaves. And back to the top right, I'll place a small pedicel, that stem-like tube that I'm drawing here, and connect it to my little bud emerging at the back of my main flower. As you can see, it's just an oval. And to balance my composition, I'll just finish it all with a tiny leaf to the right. Now, I'm going to start outlining with my Micron 2. And because I want this lily to feel full of light, I'm not going to outline everything with the same pressure. In some areas, I'll barely touch the paper. In others, especially where the petals overlap or fold, I'll allow the line to become a little darker. I'm imagining the light coming softly from the upper left, so I want to preserve a lot of white space on the petals. Sometimes, you'll even see me skip the line a little. This creates the impression that the light is touching the edge of the flower, and it also keeps the drawing from feeling too heavy. Then, I continue with the peduncle, the leaf, the bud, and the small leaf on the right. And if you enjoyed calm, detailed pen and ink tutorials like this one, make sure to subscribe. I share botanical drawing tutorials, process videos, and gentle guidance to help you build confidence with ink one flower at a time. Finally, I'll outline the pistil, the stigma, the anthers, and the filaments. Notice how the line here is fluid and consistent. And before we finish this part, I'd love to know, have you ever drawn a lily before? Or is this your first one? Let me know in the comments. I always read them and I love seeing what everybody's working on. Now, our flower is ready for texture and volume. Now, I'll begin rendering the first petal very lightly. Because I want a lot of brightness in this flower, I'm not filling the petal with too many lines. I'm only adding ink where I see shadow, near the folds, near the overlaps, and closer to the center. Here, I'm marking the characteristic lines that divide lily's petals. I do it softly, just to suggest their place. I'm also shading this edge very lightly, because the light is hitting right there. Now, my lines can move from the center of the flower and outward, or from the edge of the petals inwards, always following the natural direction of the petal. Notice how in the middle of the petals, I continue placing subtle lines to show the direction and structure of the form. These are not random decorative lines. They follow the curve of the petal. Also notice how I don't always touch the edge. I leave white space so the eye can close the form. This makes the petal feel lighter, softer, and more elegant. I'll keep moving, one petal at a time, always looking for the areas where I need more line density. Remember, more density means more shadow. More white space means more light. That is one of the most important ideas in pen and ink. And while we work on the rest of the petals, let's talk about watching art tutorials. Because I'm always very curious to learn new things and really invested in finding out more about the real value of what I'm putting out there, I did my research on this and a few related topics. Research suggests that watching drawing tutorials, art process videos, and demonstrations can support artistic learning even when the viewer is not drawing at the exact moment. However, observation works best as a preparation for practice, not a replacement for it. And it all may sound very obvious, but I used to think of this as a kind of visualization that would work on my own practice. What evidence supports is that when people watch another person perform a skill action, parts of the brain involved in movement planning, perception, and action understanding become active. This is often described through the action observation network. The brain doesn't respond exactly as it does during physical practice, but it can begin forming a mental representation of the movement. For us, artists, and specifically for what we're doing here, this means that watching someone sketch, ink, shade, or construct a flower may help the viewer understand the order of the process how movements are organized, where the artist places attention, how visual problems are solved, and how marks relate to form, light, and depth. Observation can therefore make later practice more efficient because the learner begins with a clearer idea of what to do. But make no mistake, watching is not the same as drawing. Physical practice remains essential because watching evidently cannot fully develop hand control, pressure sensitivity, coordination, material handling, correction based or tactile feedback, endurance, and precision. The most accurate conclusion is that watching can prime and guide learning, while drawing physically develops and refines the skill. Now, here's an interesting catch. Watching becomes more useful when the viewer actively imagines performing the movement. Research on motor imagery shows that mentally rehearsing an action can improve performance, although it is usually less effective than physical practice. A viewer may benefit more by imagining the direction of a stroke, the pressure of the pen, the speed of the hand, where the line begins and ends, how the paper or wrist moves. Combining observation with mental rehearsal is likely more effective than watching passively. I mean, how cool is that? And this makes me think about a few comments I've received about straight lines and how drawing them may be challenging. Well, what if you imagine yourself drawing those straight lines first and then trying it out on actual paper? How much more would your own practice improve? I don't know, the possibilities are there. And back to our flower. Notice that as I move through the petals, I keep rotating my sketchbook. And this is such a simple tip, but it makes a huge difference. Instead of forcing my wrist to draw an uncomfortable curve, I move the paper until my hand can make the line more naturally. Your line quality improves when your arm is comfortable. So don't keep your sketchbook fixed in one position. Move it, rotate it, make the drawing easier for your body. Now, for our small bud, notice that I added lines at the top and bottom to suggest volume, leaving the middle lighter so it feels rounded. Then, I inked the small leaf beside it with darker, cleaner lines, trying to emulate the natural texture of a lily leaf. And if you struggle with straight lines, maybe you can try imagining yourself drawing them first and then trying it out on paper. See if it works. And if you're enjoying this tutorial so far, please give it a like. It tells me that you enjoy slow, detailed tutorials like this, and it also helps more artists find this kind of calm drawing practice. Now, for the peduncle, or stem, I use longer lines, following the direction of growth. The stem can be darker than the petals because it helps support the composition and gives the flower more structure. Notice how I'm cross-hatching the stem, gradually increasing the line density to deepen the value. Now, I move to the larger leaf at the bottom. Here, I'll create a much stronger contrast because the leaf is darker with more line density and a more dramatic texture. And this is intentional. If everything has the same value, the drawing can feel flat. But when the leaves and the stem are darker, the light petals feel even brighter. And as we move closer to the end of this tutorial, let's recap. We started with a simple oval to build the structure of the lily, then used just 1 micron O2 to create light, depth, and volume by controlling the density of our lines, preserving white space, and placing our darkest values where they mattered most. But beyond drawing a flower, I hope you also discovered something about learning. If you ever wondered whether watching art tutorials really help, I hope this lily gave you the answer. Watching can help you understand the structure, the sequence, and the decisions behind the drawing. It can help you mentally rehearse the process. But practice is where everything becomes real. Watching may prepare you to practice, but practicing is how that understanding becomes your own. So now it's your turn. Draw this lily with me. Then challenge yourself to draw it again from memory or from a different reference. That's where real growth begins. And if you do, I'd love to see. You can send your creations over Instagram or Facebook. Now, I'll add the final details to the stigma and a little cross-hatching in the darkest areas, especially near the center of the flower and under some overlaps. And before we finish, I also want to invite you to join my Patreon. You can join for free and get updates, behind-the-scenes notes, extra thoughts about my creative process, and a closer look at what I'm working on. And now, the lily is finished. If you enjoyed drawing together today, don't forget to like this video and subscribe for more pen and ink tutorials. Thank you so much for drawing with me today. And remember, every line teaches you something. So keep drawing, and I'll see you in the next flower.